And welcome back to another episode of Life in Prison. As always, my name is Zach. So for the ones who don't know, new to this channel, unfortunately I spent 5 years of my life in maximum security prison, Mount Correctional Complex and Huntsville Correctional Center. Maximum security for 5 years, 2011 to 2016. But since returning from prison, I've received my medical degree, and I'm currently working in urgent care helping others who unfortunately cannot help themselves. So basically what I do on this channel is I speak about my time in prison along with getting out. I also do video chat interviews or interviews with inmates still locked up in prison, regardless of murder, drug charges, thieving, stealing, whatever it may be, just showing you a first-hand look what it's really actually like living life in prison. People promote guns, people promote violence, people promote drugs. I've been there, I've done that, right? But at the end of the day, what are we trying to get to? A prison cell when you're completely alone by yourself? Absolutely not. So for the ones who are willing to listen, hope you enjoy this episode, and I hope you come back for more. So if you haven't already done it, or if you want to go ahead and wait, completely up to you. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button, hit that bell notification button to be first informed when I upload. So today what we're going to be getting into is, I've had a subscriber that asked me a little bit ago if I had personally ever fought with the cops, with the COs that was in prison. So as I said before, I've kind of touched on it, but I never went into detail, right? So even though I was on a gang unit, I am affiliated, right? I never had any issues with the cops personally. I always pretty much made it my duty not to have issues with these COs, just because the simple fact is, just because you might be in a gang or whatever, you think you might be running the prison, whatever it might be, you might be doing something, right? You have no power. At the end of the day, these COs, one CO can take 100 of you guys out. Do you get what I'm saying? That's what it really boils down to. Now, could we take them over? Absolutely, yeah. Of course, we could have. But you just don't. It's just one of those things. Like, some people will riot and take on the cops. Now, we tried it, completely failed. We all ended up doing like a year in the hole for doing that. You know what I'm saying? I talked about in the previous video, whenever we did riot up there on the gang unit, didn't go very far. You know what I'm saying? So if you really want to take over a prison, you can really do it. These COs hold power, and we know this as inmates. We like to think that we could overpower them. Yeah, you might be able to beat them up, whatever, but at the end of the day, you're still sitting there, and you're not going anywhere. You get what I'm saying? That's what it boils down to. So, me knowing that they had complete power control over me pretty much made me want to stay out their face. Now, at the end of the day, they knew exactly who I was, and that wasn't because I was always in their face. It was just because I was always in trouble. This is the thing. A lot of individuals, myself included, not everybody, but a good bit of individuals that I know, we felt like we had to prove something when we first got in prison. Now, we were younger, we wanted to prove whatever it was. Don't know, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? It's like, what are we trying to prove to these guys that we're never going to see again? At the end of the day, that's what it boils down to. I feel like we need just to prove ourselves as being a man. You know what I'm saying? The only way to do that in prison is to show violence. That's the only really way that you're going to get respect. And it's weird to say that, but whenever you're around certain groups of individuals, violent tendency individuals, especially being around a lot of gang members, me being on a gang pod the whole time, so you get what I'm saying? Your mindset is a lot different. Let me say that. The mindset that you're going to have out here on the streets is completely different than what you're going to have in prison. So me having the mindset, yeah, I can do what I want to do, but to a certain extent. So the only time I'd ever got into it with the COs is, it was actually, I was doing about 8 months back in the hole for getting caught with a knife, right? So when you're back in the hole, you can order food, you can order commissary once you get to a certain phase. So after you do 60 days in the hole, then you have availability, right, of getting ADS, administrative segregation. That means they can hold you back from 60 days to years pretty much if they really wanted to. So the only plus being on ADSEG, you're going to be back there for a while, is that you can order food, you can order drinks, snacks, and stuff like that. You can have your shoes, your sweatshirt, your sweatpants, stuff like that. It's real nice. Now, at certain prisons, you can actually have a TV in your cell. You know what I'm saying? In some places, you can really have an Xbox, too. That's up at Mount Olive. But down at Huntsville, this is where it happened. Down at Huntsville, the only thing you can get is clothes and food, right? So food's a real big thing. The thing is, if you're back there and you get in more trouble, not only are you going to stay longer back there in the hole, but now your privileges have been taken away. So you got to think, sitting there in the hole for 60 days, 6 months, a year with no food, no books. People, as I've said before in other videos, mental health in prison is very, very important, but they don't take it seriously. There's a lot of young individuals that are completely losing their mind because they're back there in a box by themselves for months and years on end with really no communication. You know what I'm saying? Now you can yell and scream to other people, but it's different. You know what I'm saying? So honestly, you have to do things to keep your mind busy. The only good thing about being at Huttonsville in the hole in segregation is the pod, it's 2 tiers, right? So say on this left side, you've got 30 cells, and then on this right side, you've got 30 cells facing each other. 15 up top, 15 on the bottom, facing each other. So you can now see about 10 to 12 different individuals in their cell window. You gotta think the cell windows are only, you know, about 4 to 5 inches wide and about 3 inches tall. So this is what you see of somebody. Large enough so for you to start signing. That's how a lot of people would communicate. We'd sign, and you would pretty much sign your whole life story, because you gotta think, if you're sitting back there in the hole for a while and someone across from you sitting back in the hole for a while, if you want to talk to somebody, you're gonna only be able to talk to individuals across from you or diagonally. So if some of those dudes are, you know, they got bad charges, might be some touchers or some rats, obviously you're not going to talk to them, they're just doing their own thing. So, I mean, you can talk in the vents and stuff, but it's only oh so good, you know what I'm saying? So, sitting across from me for about 7 of those months was Gigi, my road dog, who's currently doing some time in Virginia right now for some stuff, you know what I'm saying? So, he was directly across from me. Now, I had lost my food privileges, so I wasn't able to order yet, right? But Gigi, he could order. So what we would do if you wanted to get food, if you wanted to get anything, magazines, books, food, whatever, cigarettes, K2, drugs, whatever it may be, you had to fish. Now fishing, I talked about another video as well. It's whenever you you take string and you tie it up and you braid it to make it real long. About 6, you want it to at least be 60 feet long. Now every pod's gonna be different, a little bit smaller, bigger, but in this pod, if you have a big enough string, you can shoot it all the way down to the other side of the pod and grab whatever you may need. Being across from each other was love, because you can see each other, bada boom, bada bing, right? But the thing is, once you're on the second story, you now have a big drop to get to. So at the end of the day, we were fishing across from each other, right? And we were fishing in they had some chili, beans, and rice type situation. They had some tuna and some, you know, crackers and stuff. That's what I was pulling across. Tuna, chili, crackers from Gigi, right? So you're not allowed to fish. And the reason being is because you had to destroy something to get to this line. You get what I'm saying? Either your towel, your state blanket, your state clothes, whatever it may be, something had to be destroyed for you to make this fishing line. So you don't want to get hit with the fishing line because, like I said, if you get hit with anything back there in the hole, it's going to push you back longer. So now you're going to get destruction of state property, you're going to get contraband, and then probably something else as well, right? So whenever you get hit fishing, you don't want to get caught with anything. So if they see fishing, you either need to pull in real fast and flush it or hide it real good, because they are going to come in and they like looking for that stuff because they like keeping key individuals back in the hole longer. So we're fishing. We hear the door pop. We're halfway through fishing. So I quickly bring the food in, slap it up, and comes in my cell. The CO sees what cell it comes out of. He saw what the package was. So I was able to hide the line, but that food is clearly in my cell. Now, this was CO White. His name was Douglas White. He does not, from what I hear, he doesn't work at Huttonsville anymore. But Douglas White was this short little individual. He had a wife who used to work there as well, and he always used to make his rounds with Feaster. Everybody hated Feaster. They're making their rounds. So old Douglas came up to my cell and was like, Bates, hand it over. You know, he was one of those individuals that if he found something and took it out of your cell, you are getting rode up for it. He had to come in that pod, walk his little legs up the steps to get to your cell. He's writing you up. He loves pushing paper. Pushing paper is pretty much these COs will write you up, give you a ticket, give you a write-up, whatever it may be, wherever prison people are at, they call it different things. It was a write-up, you got in trouble, right? So me knowing this write-up's going to push me back longer, and now I'm mad at myself for getting caught. So I didn't want to give up my food. He was going to get the food. I didn't want to give him the food. So what did I do? I started opening the food up and started eating it. He didn't like that. He wanted me just to give him the food. my mindset at that moment was not just handing anything over. I'm gonna eat this, and then I'm gonna give you what's left of it. I didn't have a fork, didn't have a knife, didn't have a plate, didn't have anything. I'm in the hole, didn't have a bowl. So I'm just kind of eating these chili beans and rice out of this container. Now I'll pop up a picture so you see what it looks like. Trying to eat a couple of those things is kind of hard. I accomplished it, but without a fight. So what ensued after that is he got mad. Oh, you don't want to give it up? All right, cuff up, Bates, cuff up. Oh, it's a beehole like I'm gonna do something. I'm eating this food. I'm going to continue, even though I might be full as hell, might be kind of a gluttonous thing to do, I eat the food, right? So he didn't like that. So he popped my beanhole, expecting me to cuff up. I'm not cuffing up. Now I'm mad. Like, you know what I'm saying? I don't know why at the time, you made me mad now. So he's like, all right. So he leaves. At that moment, there's no turning back. He's coming back and he's gonna fuck me up, right? Instead of thinking for myself, at that moment, I was listening to what everyone else had to say. They're saying take a t-shirt, tie it around my face, because they're gonna throw a clear out in there. What that is regardless if they throw a clear out, which is a grenade bomb, but it's pepper spray pretty much. It's a pepper spray grenade. So they'll pull the pin, toss in your cell, close the beanhole, and pretty much smoke you out. So what you do is, you make sure the toilet is clogged. That way there's airflow coming in. So what you do is, when they toss this thing in there, you pick it up, you flush it, it's gone. There's no stuff coming in. What you do is you cover your window. That way they can't see in. That way they're more hesitant on coming in. Most of the time when you're in segregation, you're supposed to be cuffed before you walk out that door. At all times. And there's always supposed to be 2 COs. So the only time they're going to open up that door is if you're cuffed. And if not, then they're coming in with shields, which is exactly what they did. I made sure I covered up my window. I took my mat. Now, a lot of the time as well, if you use your mat during any type of extraction, they're going to dry cell you. And what that is they're going to take your mat during the day. Pretty much 6 o'clock, they're taking your mat, and you're not going to have a mat all day until like 9, 10 o'clock at night. Then they're going to give you your mat back. So using your mat is very, very tricky because you could lose it. Regardless, I use my mat. Why you want to use the mat is, once they have that beanhole popped open, they have this long grabby stick that they try to push you back away from the door so that they can either get in there with a clear out, with some spray stuff, with a gun, pepper spray gun, beanbag gun, whatever it may be, the taser, however they do it. That's how they get you back away from the door, is by this long pokey stick. So you use your mat up against the window and you kind of press against it so they can't come in. So what happened was they threw 2 clear outs in. I picked the first one up, threw it in the toilet. Boom, we're good. The second one, as I'm grabbing for it, I didn't really get enough time to pay attention to the door, pretty much. That's how it went down. In the midst of all that happening, I then brought that mat with me because I'm holding on to it. As I'm doing that, these little sons of bitches have had a little sniper motherfucker in the beanhole with a taser. Now, as I'm looking up from throwing this clear out into the toilet, I see the red dot coming from the end of that gun. Now, I've been maced, I've been hit with clear out multiple times. I will say, getting sprayed sucks worse than being tased. And the reason why I say is this. I got hit in the leg. That's where they hit me. So you have 15 seconds of just, it sucks. The only thing you have to make sure is whenever you fall, hopefully that you fall in a direction where nothing is going to smack your head as you're going down, because you're really not going to eat that. You know what I'm saying? I've seen people eat these tasers. I've seen them eat multiple ones. I'm not that guy. So make sure that you kind of hopefully fall in a weird direction where you don't smack your head. So luckily for me, I didn't smack my head going down. So yeah, it's 15 seconds of you just locked up and your whole body just kind of feels like it's being jolted. But then after that 15 seconds is up, it's over. Done and over with. Now being sprayed and getting hit with mace and all that stuff, you're dealing with this hours and hours and hours after the fact. Now, you're lucky if he doesn't get ran down the front and goes all the way down. That's when it really, really sucks. Now, straight up fighting with the COs, as in, let's hit, I've never personally done that. No, not in jail, nor not in prison. Now, my cousin done that. My buddies, they've done that. You know, I've got a few buddies who have trashed COs in jail and in prison. You know, it happens. Did it happen while I was up there? Hell yeah, it happened while up there. Most of the time, this is what it was. You had a lot of these newer COs who, whenever they got trained by some veterans who had no respect for the inmate. Now, normally what will happen is, now I can understand if the inmate is being combative or whatever. But it's like, once you start doing time, you get in a different type of mindset. You're gonna stay away from the CO's face, they're gonna stay away from your face. Mutual respect, you stay over there, I'm gonna stay over here, right? So for the ones that are always up in their face and pretend like, like you're just creating more stuff for no reason. A lot of people, they don't like that. So, being that type of person, I never had any issues. Now, whenever you got this new shotgun CO coming in and they want to enforce the rules for no reason, and you've got someone that just had a bad day, you gotta think you've got a lot of dudes who are never going home, or who have a very, very long time until they possibly can go home. So they have nothing to lose. You have everything to lose as a CO because you can walk out the door every day. So whenever you catch one of these dudes off guard on a bad day, so maybe they got a bad call from home, right? Maybe someone in the family is ill or passed away. Now they are just on 100 and they're just waiting for one small little thing. That's normally what happens. Someone got a bad call, got a bad letter from the girl, whatever it may be, and the CO comes up and really, really going on them. Bam! Hold that! I do not promote crime, nor do I promote violence, nor gang activity. If you stay away from the BS, at the end of the day, you won't ever have to worry about going into prison, either going for your first time or going back as a follow-up. I hope no one ever has to do that, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. This is a short video on pretty much me just fighting out with the COs. Don't do it. Don't advise it. I do not promote it. Hope you enjoyed this short video. If you haven't already done it, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, hit that notification button so you'll be first informed when I upload. I know it's been a while, so I thank you guys for always supporting me no matter what it may be. As always, I send my utmost love, loyalty, respect. Keep pushing positivity. I hope you guys come back for more. We gone.